Hey, welcome to Progression, Success in the Music Industry. I'm your host, Travis Ferentz, and this is episode number 100. We have made it to the triple digits. Most of you have been hanging out with me and listening to the show for 3 years at this point. October 2020 is when the first episode came out, so that's crazy. And I know I say this all the time, but I really appreciate every single one of you. I've obviously been thinking about the show a lot these last couple of weeks, really reflecting on how I can make it better, how I can grow it further, where I might have made missteps along the way. And in all of that reflection, I realized that when I started this show, even though I didn't know it at the time, I was making it for myself. I wanted to speak to me, not even me 5 years prior, me at that time in 2020. I was frustrated in a lot of ways at that time. I felt stuck, cheated, all those things that you feel when you think you aren't making any progress. I was being defined by the music industry. My self-worth was directly attached to the work I was doing. It was easy to complain and see that the deck was stacked against me because that's what I was looking for. And I've talked about it so many times before on the show. You will find what you're looking for. If you want conflict, you'll find it. If you want resolution, you'll find it. And when I started the show, I asked everybody the same final question. What is your current biggest goal? And what is the next smallest step you're going to take to go towards it? And that question was totally where my head was in 2020. I wanted a big change. I wasn't exactly sure what that change was, but I knew I was looking for something. And I knew that making a change or hitting a goal was based on taking action. I'd exhausted the exercise of working backwards from where you wanted to be to get to that first smallest action, that one thing that would get the ball rolling down the hill. And the goal was always something like mix a hit song or make X amount of money. And I'd work backwards to always end up at something like send an email or anything else that was as easy to talk yourself out of as it was to sit down and do. But ultimately, I was still defined by my work. The music industry was still what was defining success to me. And I was still frustrated by the same things. I was still trying to fit into the same mold of success, following in the same path that had been laid out to me as the way you have an engineering career. You're a runner, assistant, engineer, mixer, hits, blah, 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 Grammy, blah, blah, blah. And so as that first year of podcast went on, I interviewed 52 people. I got to hear 52 different stories of how people got to where they are today. And through all those conversations, I started to connect the dots. I had to take success into my own hands. Now, we all say that we know everybody's path is their own and that they are all different, but we tend to never actually think that when we compare ourselves to them. We just see that they did this and that we didn't. We're still not choosing what success is to us. You cannot define your own success if you are living in a comparative state of mind. So I'll say that again. You cannot define your own success if you are living in a comparative state of mind. That's where the second closing question of the show came from. Was there a time in your career that you chose to redefine what success meant to you? I think I started that question towards the end of the first year when I was finally starting to realize the change that I was searching for. It was that I wanted to decide I was successful. And how would I do that? I just decided. I would define it for myself. And you'd think that would be easy to see. Just in the fact that I make a living as a professional recording and mixing engineer, that should have been enough. Not to mention I've worked with some of the biggest artists in the world. But it can be hard to see when you're inside it, especially in an industry that moves the goalposts. Every win is reduced by the fact that you just want to win bigger next time. And look, I've got no issues with being driven. I think everybody should be driven to be the best at what they're doing. And if you aren't, then you probably haven't found what you truly want to do yet. The thing that I have issues with is letting that moving goalpost define whether your life had meaning and whether you've, quote, made it. That is where I went wrong for nearly 15 years. Working on more chart-topping records every year than the year prior was the only definition of whether I was making progress in my life. So no wonder I was frustrated, no wonder I was envious of my peers and felt cheated by the music industry. Fast forward 2 more years to present day. I'm having the most successful year of my life in every single aspect. I'm doing the most and best work I've ever done for some of the most enjoyable projects I've ever been a part of. I'm energized by sharing and helping others, learning new skills every day, and meeting amazing new people on this podcast. All while being a fully committed father and husband. And I say that I'm successful not because the outside world has told me that. Not because I finally fit into that mold the industry gave to me when I showed up. It's because I finally decided to live my journey, to embrace each season of life as it is and to focus on the things that are important to me. This is so far from the person I was 5 years ago, and I attribute a lot of this change to creating this podcast. Going way outside my comfort zone and so far from the path that I was convinced I was supposed to be on, that there is no way I couldn't see that I was limiting myself by trying to play someone else's game. So when I ask guests if they've ever redefined what success meant, that's where this question is coming from. And I can immediately tell if they have gone through a similar thought process in their life. Sometimes I think I even see it hit them in the moment because that's just not a question that people ask each other. And it's become by far my favorite part of the podcast. I thought a milestone episode like 100 would be a great place to reflect for a second and to just share where these questions came from and even where this show came from. I've probably been a bit more open and vulnerable in this episode than I've been in the past. I hope that's okay. I also hope that in sharing this, I've sparked something for you. I know that I've grown a lot in 3 years thanks to all of the people that have come on this show. I hope you all have grown along the way as well. So I'm super excited for the upcoming episodes. We're going to call it season 4. I think we've explored the current format of progressions as far as we can, and it's time to flip the script a little bit. So if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube or signed up for the mailing list, please jump on those and look for the announcements coming your way when new episodes start rolling out. I'm going to take a brief break here, but it's only so I can come back and deliver a show that can keep all of us growing and getting better along the way.